17-year-old university student is dead, and her mother is fighting for her life. It is just absolutely awful, but this specific crime led authorities to a serial killer.
He's a monster. He's a monster. He damaged our family.
The blood-stained curtains fluttering in the breeze are the first indication of the evil Miguel Cortez is accused of. The pharmacist, now being called the Mexican Jeffrey Dahmer.
So I received a call that my sister was taken to the hospital because somebody entered her apartment and attacked her and attacked my niece.
Angela Calles of Santa Ana is currently in Mexico City. Her niece, 17-year-old Maria Jose Castillo, was raped and murdered, allegedly by her neighbor, Miguel Cortez.
No se esperaba que llegara la mamá de la jovencita.
When Maria's mother, Cassandra Calles, entered the apartment, she found Cortez inside.
She found this guy on my niece's room. She was already dead, and he attacked my sister too. She has a stab on her leg, on her left lung, and on the pelvic area.
Cortez tried to flee, but neighbors held him down until police arrived. When investigators checked the apartment, they made a gruesome discovery: human remains and 7 human craniums.
They found out he was a serial killer.
Que podría tratarse de 7 casos.
Mexico City prosecutor Ulises Lara says he has 7 homicide cases against Cortez. But the mothers of missing daughters suspect that number is much higher. They are angry with authorities for not investigating their missing daughters' cases.
I just asked the fiscal office in Mexico City that they put this monster on jail and he never went out. And also justice for all the other victims, all the other families too.
The family in Santa Ana has established a GoFundMe account called Justice for Maria Jose. It is to help pay for the medical expenses for the surviving victim and also to pay for the transportation for Angela to go from Santa Ana to Mexico and back and forth. And of course, something else, Angela is also dealing with cancer. It's just awful for this family all around.
Neighbors on the attack in Mexico City as police lead the alleged serial killer away.
Right now, my niece is supposed to be studying for going to school. She's supposed to be at home with her mom. And right now, she's not at home.
Angela Calles of Santa Ana says her 17-year-old niece, Maria Jose Castillo, was the latest victim. Police say the teen was brutally raped and murdered by her neighbor, 39-year-old Miguel Cortez, a chemist by trade and accused killer at home. The 17-year-old's mother fighting off Cortez after finding him hovering over her daughter's body when she returned home from the store. The deadly attack leading to a horrific discovery inside Cortez's apartment: skulls, body parts, and a diary detailing the gruesome crimes. Cortez is accused of killing at least 6 women and attempting to kill a 7th, the crimes dating back to 2012, according to prosecutors. Among his victims, a former girlfriend who went missing. Like so many in Cortez's neighborhood, Castillo's aunt is wondering why he was never.
El caso del presunto feminicida de María José, Miguel N., ha consternado a los capitalinos. En redes sociales, muchos han expresado que encuentran similitudes con Jeffrey Dahmer, asesino serial estadounidense. El departamento de Miguel, quien se desempeñaba como químico farmacobiólogo en un hospital, fue cateado por elementos de la fiscalía, quienes encontraron 5 cráneos y decenas de identificaciones. Se sabe que entre sus posibles víctimas estarían estudiantes, sexoservidoras y compañeras de trabajo. Según los policías que realizaron la detención del sujeto, así como algunos usuarios en redes sociales, este caso les recuerda mucho al asesino serial Jeffrey Dahmer, mejor conocido como el caníbal de Milwaukee. Sin embargo, hubo quienes se mostraron visiblemente molestos por la comparativa, pues consideran que se está glorificando a un asesino al apodarlo como el Dahmer mexicano. El caso de Dahmer tuvo mucha difusión en los años 90, debido a las perturbadoras circunstancias, pues el hombre asesinó a 17 varones entre 1978 y 1991, de los cuales 13 habrían sido desmembrados en su departamento y sus restos conservados en el refrigerador o disueltos en un contenedor con ácido. Finalmente fue detenido cuando Tracy Edwards se escapó y lo denunció con la policía.
Mantente informado con El Universal y suscríbete a nuestro canal.
The pharmacist, now being called the Mexican Jeffrey Dahmer. When Maria's mother, Cassandra Calles, entered the apartment, she found Cortez inside.
She found this guy on my niece's room. She was already dead, and he attacked my sister too. She has a stab on her neck, on her left lung, and on the pelvic area.
Cortez tried to flee, but neighbors held him down until police arrived. When investigators checked the apartment, they made a gruesome discovery: human remains and 7 human craniums.
They found out he was a serial killer.
Que podría tratarse de 7 casos.
Mexico City prosecutor Ulises Lara says he has 7 homicide cases against Cortez. But the mothers of missing daughters suspect that number is much higher. They are angry with authorities for not investigating their missing daughters' cases.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back. Another episode of Greenlit Gang TV. Thank you guys so much for checking out today's video, coming back to the channel. Remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment below. Today we're going to be talking about a still kind of developing story. Came out about a week ago. A little bit longer, but give or take, within the last week or two. Miguel Cortez out of Iztacalco, Mexico City. Basically, he's being called the Mexican Jeffrey Dahmer, a serial killer who was finally captured after basically being caught in the middle of committing a murder and trying to commit another one. They're calling him the Mexican Jeffrey Dahmer because of what authorities found in his apartment after he was captured. Like I said, he's a 39-year-old pharmaceutical rep from Iztacalco, Mexico City. And when you hear the term Mexican Jeffrey Dahmer, I feel like if you follow my channel, if you like true crime, I don't know how you haven't heard of Jeffrey Dahmer. Even in popular culture last year, they came out with the Dahmer series. So, I feel like if you follow any sort of crime, if you're into any sort of like that, even if you don't, I feel like you've had to have heard of him. He's up there on the list of most prolific, famous serial killers. I'd put him up there with Ted Bundy. I'd put him up there with the Zodiac killer, Charles Manson, even though Manson didn't technically kill anybody. But still, the list of famous names. And the reason Jeffrey Dahmer was so famous is, yes, he killed 17. He's basically attributed with 17 murders of males, young boys, and young adults from 1978 to 1991. He committed 17 murders and was ultimately given 15 life sentences. The reason he was so popular is because of the circumstances, right? So when they go into his, and you can go on YouTube, you can go look up these news stories. There's images of the police when they enter Dahmer's apartment, right? And then what they find body parts in the fridge, in the freezer. They find corpses that he'd stuffed in walls. They find weird shrunken heads. I mean, there's just, immediately they talk about that feeling I'm sure they had when they walked into the apartment, right? And this gentleman, Miguel Cortez, from all accounts, police had the exact same experience or a similar experience when they walked into his apartment. And Dahmer was one of those cases where he should have been stopped a long time before the police actually caught him. There's a famous story about Dahmer where the young boy, it's not even an adult, a young boy escapes, is running down the road. He's drugged. He's under the influence. Somebody finds him. They call the police. Dahmer comes running up and says, "Oh, this is my boyfriend. We just had a rough night. We've been partying. We got into a little bit. I'll take him back. I'll take him back." Right. And literally the people on the scene were like, how old is he? And police let that child go back with Jeffrey Dahmer. And right when they get back inside the apartment, Jeffrey Dahmer kills him and does God knows what to the corpse. So, and similar with this Miguel Cortez from Mexico City, there were a lot of people upset when they found out about some of the circumstances of the case. So he's being charged right now with 7 homicides, or they also classify it as femicide because all his victims were women. And when I looked up femicide, it's the intentional murder of women or girls. And it goes beyond that, right? It's almost like a gender discrimination. There's this thing, it's almost like a hatred for women that causes these attacks. And we're going to go into, it took me reading a lot of articles to pick up little more tidbits of information. And I think I found out maybe a good reason why he attacked women. And then reading about what femicide meant, I didn't really know this. It said women are actually more likely to be attacked and murdered by someone they know, whether it's a domestic violence situation or just someone close to the family. I think women by nature are, unfortunately, they're more vulnerable to these attacks. So Miguel Cortez is Iztacalco, Mexico City. He's being charged with 7 homicides, but they believe he may be responsible for up to 20 that date back over 10 years. There are several mothers and parents who believe the number is much higher, and they are basically upset with authorities because their daughters, their sisters, their granddaughters, their nieces, they are missing, right? And we're going to get into some of what was found in his apartment. And these family members are mad at authorities for not investigating this more thoroughly. They're saying this guy should have been caught much sooner, right? Their daughters, their sisters, their relatives are missing, and to them, it's like, okay, look who you guys just found. It's obvious who is responsible. Now, with Miguel Cortez, everything, I didn't find a ton of images on him, all right? But the ones I did where he's working, because remember, he's a pharmaceutical chemist, so he's got a white lab coat on. From the looks of him, he looks totally normal, which fits with a lot of other serial killers. They're all scary. There are scary-looking ones, but majority, you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know that this person may have killed up to 20 people. He had a good job as a pharmacist, right? And then when you see the picture of him, like, he's a normal, decent-looking guy. And then it even said that one of his suspected victims was a girlfriend that went missing in 2015. So, he's able to keep a girlfriend. He's able to maintain things. He's got a family, even though reading about his childhood was very strained. But the fact that, okay, he had a girlfriend, he has a good job, his picture, he looks normal, he takes care of himself physically, he's able to blend in. But finally, on April 16th, 2024, so just a few weeks ago, he was apprehended when he was caught in the act by Cassandra Calles. She came home from going to the corner store in Iztacalco, Mexico City, to find Miguel Cortez standing over her 17-year-old daughter, Maria Jose Castillo's body. He had brutally attacked, assaulted, he SA'd her, and then strangled and stabbed her to death. Cassandra, you talk about fight or flight. She fought. She fought and struggled with Cortez in an attempt to save her daughter, not knowing, and then she kind of did realize that Maria was already deceased. They talked about the blood stain on the curtains. And apparently, Cassandra was trying to confront Cortez and not let him leave. So Cortez, apparently, he tried to leave, right? And Cassandra wasn't having any of it. She was pissed. She was mad. Talking about fight or flight, she fought. Cortez grabbed her, tried to push her out. It seems like they're on the third story. They're on the third floor of these apartments. He tried to get her out the window. That didn't work, so he threw her back on the bed, had stabbed her a few times. She went out of it. She kind of fell out of it, right? She kind of blacked out. She came to on her bed where he'd stabbed her in the leg, the pelvic area. And it wasn't like she was out for super long because he took off to his third floor apartment in an attempt to flee. Cassandra kind of came to quickly, bleeding, stabbed multiple times, so she managed to run downstairs, get the police, and neighbors also hearing and seeing all this commotion, right? Miguel Cortez, he tried to flee, but neighbors stopped him. They held him down until authorities got there. And then you see the videos of him being recorded, being hauled out, and they are pissed. And some of you may know this, but in some of these countries like Mexico and some of these other countries, if you are committing crimes like this against children or women, you almost want the police to lock you up, because if the public gets a hold of you, I've seen videos like this where if the police had just let him go to the neighbors, had they just said, you know what, you guys have him, they'd have drug him through the street and beat him to death and then strung him up, probably on a pole, and done God knows what to him and God knows what to his body. It is not like America where, okay, police are here, we're going to get him involved, we're going to arrest him, we're going to take him down, question him. No, they had to haul him out of there and honestly save his life by getting him out of there, because what that community was going to do to him, especially when you factor in he was attacking people in his own community. So a lot of these, I'm sure, were relatives, parents of these individuals that were missing. And this is why family members are upset, you guys, because in Mexico, a lot of these crimes these people that commit crimes against these women, they don't go investigated. They're not. It takes something like the mother, right, Cassandra Calles, confronting him and having this huge thing happen for him to get caught. Because who knows, he might have killed the daughter and left. And if it doesn't leave any evidence, if police don't investigate it, you don't know what's going to happen. once the situation was more under control, that's when they searched Cortez's apartment. And this is where things got even weirder. IDs of over 20 missing women were discovered, as well as human remains such as skulls and other human bones. There was human blood discovered as well, and then they found, this is bad, they found a saw that was used to cut up body parts. Cortez also kept journals and what prosecutors are calling detailed accounts of his crimes. Typical of most serial killers, Cortez had a very messed up and depraved childhood. He was the victim of SA from his father and other abuses from his father, but he actually directed, and this is kind of where we're going to get into his anger towards women, he actually directed a lot of his anger towards his mom and sister for not stopping what his dad did and not stopping his dad from hurting him. And I do think, I'm so glad I found that in the article, because it's not in all these articles, it's in one that I read. I found one article that mentions that at the very end. And to me, that explains so much about why he chose. And obviously because they're the most vulnerable and the easiest, unfortunately. But that doesn't happen for no reason. You can't tell me that plays no part in it. And this is something where I want to know what you guys think on two fronts. I want to know, do you think the childhood with the mom and daughter not helping him from the attacks from his father, do you think that is a contributing factor? And two, what do you think about the family's claims that these crimes don't go investigated as much as they should be? I really want to know what you guys think. And again, you have to remember that crimes like these often go without being properly investigated and are often forgotten as a whole. Now, these police don't have the resources that maybe we have up here in America, but they still have resources. They still have the ability to reach out for help. And I think I don't know the exact statistics, but I'm pretty sure in Mexico City, the resources are spread pretty thin, and it takes you literally, for Miguel Cortez, he had to get caught in the act because they're saying this went on over 10 years. IDs of 20 women. I don't think he's got those by accident. If I was a betting man, I would say that those are 20 women that he attacked and possibly murdered. Right now, Cortez is behind bars, and as stories develop, I'll bring you more information. It's just one of those things that's just crazy, man. You just every once in a while, right? A few times a year, these stories pop up. This one's out of Mexico. I really wanted to bring it to you guys. I thought it was really interesting. I'll be honest. Right when I saw Mexican Jeffrey Dahmer, I went, okay, there's my next video right there. I didn't even hesitate. I was working on my last one I did with the corrections officers, but I was like, this one's coming ASAP right behind it. So anyway, there you have it. Miguel Cortez, a.k.a. the Mexican Jeffrey Dahmer. He is locked up, accused of multiple murders. We will see what happens with him. Thank you guys so much for checking out today's video. Peace.